Welcome, ZASLOW Show 2.0. It is a Monday, the 30th of October. Good to have you aboard. Presented as always by Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys. 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. If you're dealing with any kind of an injury, wasn't your fault, you call the best accident attorneys around. They will take care of you. They will treat you like family the same way they have me. Title sponsor of ZASLOW Show 2.0. Anidjar and Levine, accident attorneys, 800-747-FREE, 800-747-3733. All of our major pro sports leagues, they're either underway or they're about to wrap up. And BetOnline is your top spot for all your NBA action this season. Plus, you got MLB World Series going on, NFL, college football, NHL's in full swing. BetOnline is your number one source for wagering news, odds, trends, and predictions. Get everything NBA at your fingertips with both the desktop and mobile access for every sport, anytime. Head to the BetOnline website today to get in on the action. Don't forget, use promo code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to receive your 50% welcome bonus for your first deposit. BetOnline, where the game starts. Glad to have you aboard here as we start another week. Tomorrow is our 1-year anniversary of ZASLOW Show 2.0. So we'll do a little bit more on that tomorrow, but I'm super appreciative of everyone who has gotten us here, who's gotten us to this point, and has allowed me to believe that this works. Doing the show like this works because of your support as a listener and because of my sponsors' supporting the show. Support the sponsors that support the show. That's how we make this thing go round and round. That's how the show winds up being successful. That's how you guys never have to pay for the show. I'm never going to make you ever pay for anything. But that's because you support the sponsors who support the show. All right. You can always hit me up, by the way, at ZASLOW Show on Twitter. I'm on Threads now, at ZASLOWJ. That's also my Instagram account. So you can hit me up on both those as well. I'm the most active on Twitter, but I'm also on Threads now. My man Colin, founder and CEO of Sheets and Giggles, he told me, he's like, ZASLOW, you got to get on Threads. The people are nicer. So I was like, all right, good, I'll get on Threads, So I'm posting some show stuff on there as well. But of course, so make sure you follow me on Threads, but I'm always easily accessible on Twitter, at ZASLOW Show, Instagram and Threads, at ZASLOWJ. I hope you had a nice weekend. The Dolphins 6-2. You got 4 teams now, because Kansas City lost. 4 teams, 6-2 in the AFC. Dolphins leading the East. Jaguars leading the South, Ravens leading the North, Chiefs leading the West. 4 6-2 teams. Now, we're going to get to our full NFL rundown brought to us by Brunt Insurance, bruntinsurance.com. We'll get to our full Week 8 NFL rundown. Week 8 concludes tonight. Lions, Raiders. We got the big action on the Lions tonight. Back end of a parlay. All right, trying to make that money. You know how we do. BetOnline. All right. Anyway, so the Dolphins are one of 4 teams, all division winners, sitting atop the AFC at 6-2. I shouldn't say division winners, division leaders, of course. But here's also the point that we're at, I believe. So we're just about at the midway point of the season, right? Week 8, it's an 18-week schedule, 17 games. So we're almost through week 8. We're just about at the midway point of the season. And it really feels like now, overall with the NFL, we're in the place that we probably thought we were before the season started, which was the AFC has the top tier teams and the NFC is significantly weaker. It didn't look like that the first few weeks of the season, especially when San Francisco started 5-0. But I think now we're all seeing AFC's where it's at. Every division leader in the AFC feels like a big-time team. Maybe not so much Jacksonville, but you got each division leader is 6-2, and Buffalo is not even one of those teams. And then in the NFC, Philadelphia, 6-1, they're certainly a contender. But San Francisco now dropping to 5-3. I think we have some doubts about them. The Cowboys winning yesterday are 5-2, but they got a little bit of that bully mentality, the Cowboys. I'm not sure that I believe in the Cowboys, and I'm definitely not sure I believe in the Cowboys if they're not playing at home where they've now won 11 in a row, and they kick the shit out of teams there. So outside of those 3 teams, and one or two of which not really sure about, especially because the Niners have lost 3 in a row. I think Philadelphia's big time. I'm not sure about anyone else in the NFC. And it looks like we have 4, maybe 5 big-time teams in the AFC, which is probably what we thought going into the season. The Panthers are back in action tonight. The Heat are back in action tonight. The Panthers are in Boston. They own TD Garden. Panthers are back in the place where they won Game 7, where they won 3 out of 4. Games 2, 5, and 7, and they own the Boston Bruins. So the Panthers are back there tonight. Panthers have won 4 of their last 5 games. So trying to keep this thing going tonight. The Bruins have not lost a game in regulation yet. They're 7-0-1. Great game tonight. The Heat are in Milwaukee to take on the Bucks. Damian Lillard. So we'll talk about that. But first, of course, we're going to start out with the Dolphins here. So I really think the place you got to start, though, with the Dolphins, you got to give Mike McDaniel. Well, let me preface this. Well, let me say this first. I hosted ESPN Radio Game Day yesterday. For the second week in a row, I'm doing it next week too. ESPN Radio Game Day it's Red Zone, but on the radio. The whole show was 1 to 5 yesterday. The whole show, and we had 9 1 p.m. games. The whole show. That's another weird thing about doing the shows on ESPN Radio that the program director told me after I did like my first or second show. I can't really call it the 1 p.m. games. It's 1 p.m. Eastern. I would have to say 1 p.m. East. So I'm doing a national show. 1 p.m., what does that mean? What time zone are we in? So I call it the early window games. That's a subtle little thing that I've had to get used to doing national shows on ESPN Radio is I can't just say the time without also saying Eastern. Anyway, nobody cares about that but me. So I'm on 1 to 5 yesterday. 9 early window games. And it's bouncing from game to game to game to game. Highlights, bringing in reporters who are on site, scoring updates, stat updates. And it is, like I talked about it last week, and Amber Wilson joined us. She used to host that show a couple years ago. And you could always go back in the archives if you didn't catch Amber on the show last week. Go to wherever you get your ZASLOW Show 2.0 podcast, and you could check her out. I think it was Friday's show. And like I said to her, it's the most difficult show I've ever done. And at the same time, the most fun. It flies. It moves and moves. And especially because I'm hosting the show, and yesterday are the regular co-hosts, Herm Edwards, Mike Tannenbaum. So I'm setting these guys up throughout the whole 4 hours, but I got to engineer which game we're going to and getting all the updates. They all made it really easy. That show's a lot of fun. I hope you tune in next week, either 1 to 4 or 1 to 5. I'm not sure the time, but next weekend as well, Sunday. And so next week it's great because the Dolphin game's at 9:30 next week. I'll get to watch the Dolphins in Germany against the Chiefs, and then I'll hop on and start game day. Last week, the Dolphins were on Sunday Night Football, so I did game day, and then I got the Dolphin game later that night. But yesterday, I'm on during the Dolphin game. So the first time I couldn't even tell you when. I mean, I can't even take a guess when the last time I didn't see a Dolphin game was. Now, I've obviously seen all the highlights. I know everything that happened. Matter of fact, I know everything that happened. I'm following the game in real time, but on my scoreboard. Like I'm reading essentially what's happened. And I'm going back and forth to the game, to the other game, to this game, that game. But I don't get to see the Dolphin game. So it was a really weird experience yesterday where I obviously know everything that happened. I'm knowing what happens in real time, but without seeing any of it. And I'm not talking where I know what's happening in real time, but I can't, but like I'm not watching it. I'm not talking about in the sense of like the blind leading the blind, and it's Jimmy Cephalo on the call on the radio where you listen to Dolphins radio, and Cephalo gives you nothing. I mean, the worst play-by-play broadcaster in the history of the world. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about just, like, I kind of know what's going on. I'm updating the game, back and forth with it, but I'm not actually watching the game. It was a very weird experience. But anyway, so let me start there. I think you got to give... Now, Dolphins sweep the series, obviously, with the Patriots. You got to give Mike McDaniel and Tua a ton of credit. Last time they played, what was it, week 2 or week 3? Dolphins won that game, of course, 24-17. Belichick took away the passing game, right? Took away Tyreek Hill. And that's his thing. Belichick takes away your best offensive weapon, takes away the thing you do best, and then you got to win other ways. And the Dolphins are like, all right, fine, we're like, instead of winning with the huge plays in that game, the Dolphins are just going to stab you to death for 60 minutes, which is what they did that game, where Mostert had like 120 yards rushing. He had a pair of touchdowns. Devon A-Chain probably did his thing also, and the Dolphins ran all over them. So, okay, the Patriots were figuring the Dolphins, they're eventually going to get greedy. They're going to make a mistake. We're going to bait them into it. Dolphins never took the bait. And now you give Tua and Mike McDaniel a ton of credit because they threw all over him yesterday. I mean, Tua, 30 for 45, over 300 yards. You finally had the Waddle and Hill game. You've been waiting for Waddle to kind of catch up, and both of them have the monster games, and you finally got it. Both of them over 100 yards, both of them with a touchdown. Huge games from the two of them. Huge game for the Dolphin passing game as well. You give Tua and Mike McDaniel a ton of credit. Belichick took it away last time, and the Dolphins this time said, we're doing whatever we want. And the Dolphins, look, 31-17, they won by 2 scores, which is, I think, exactly what I thought they were going to do. I think I said they're going to win by 2 scores. And this game really wasn't close. I mean, the Dolphins gave them some opportunities with the turnover early in the game, and the Patriots scored the touchdown. The turnover to start the third quarter, and that's where you have the fumble on the handoff, and the Patriots get a field goal there. Like, the Dolphins were about to blow out the Patriots. It's a 17-7 game right before the end of the half. Dolphins have to settle for a field goal. And then that's huge because the Dolphins are getting the ball back to start the third quarter, so you get the double dip there. And are they about to go up 24-7 early in the third quarter? You get the fumble on the very first play. Patriots get a field goal. So instead of potentially 24-7 or 20-7 early in the third quarter, it's 17-10, and you got a ball game. Patriots are hanging around, and then the Dolphins did their thing, man. A lot of Waddle in the second half. Jalen Ramsey, that crowd sounded like they were on fire. Jalen Ramsey gets the interception late in the second quarter. Crowd's going crazy. And here's the thing with Jalen Ramsey. He's got the ball there. He's running up the sideline. He looks like a superstar. You know how sometimes there are guys in the league, and this is with any sport, you know they're really good. You know they're star players. But now when they're playing for your team and you're seeing them every game, now granted, it's only been one game with Ramsey, but you're seeing them every game like, whoa, I didn't know that about him. I kind of had that moment with Jalen Ramsey yesterday where he intercepts that pass, he's running up the sideline, and just his look. He looks like he's the best player on the field. He looks like a superstar. That was really exciting, watching him run up the sideline. You're thinking about what this guy could help the Dolphins accomplish. And look, I've been saying this the whole time, right? Where, they're going to get Jalen Ramsey back. No. They're not getting Jalen Ramsey back. They're adding Jalen Ramsey. They've never had Jalen Ramsey. That's why when Jalen Ramsey got hurt in training camp, I wasn't devastated. Now, number one, I wasn't devastated because we were pretty sure it was not going to be a season-ending injury. Nobody thought he was coming back before November, except for him. And by the way, went on a whole Twitter rant last week. What was it, Thursday? About, he didn't know that he's ready to play yet, and then he plays. All right. Like, Jalen Ramsey got a little bit worked up at silliness last week. Yeah, you practice a couple days, and people in the Dolphins organization told Adam Schefter, we're preparing for him to play. We think he's going to play. Jalen Ramsey got a little bit worked up at nonsense last week. And those people in the Dolphins organization, they were right. They were preparing for him to play, and that's because, he was going to play. Anyway, he looked like a stud yesterday running up the sidelines. But I wasn't devastated when Jalen Ramsey got hurt because they're not losing Jalen Ramsey. They've never had Jalen Ramsey. So when he does return, they're going to be adding him to the team. And if this team can have a decent record and then they're adding Jalen Ramsey, trade deadline's tomorrow. They essentially, to what is now a 6-2 team, they've just added one of the best cornerbacks in the NFL for nothing. They just added him right before the trade deadline. This is going to wind up being a blessing. And when Teron Armstead eventually returns, I think he's got one more week to go. When Teron Armstead eventually returns, now, he's always a week-to-week thing. But they get Ramsey back. They add Ramsey. They're 6-2. Whenever Teron Armstead comes back, they're still going to have an awesome record. It might wind up being a blessing down the stretch where you have really important players. Devon Achane as well. Whenever he's ready to rejoin the team, they're going to have an awesome record, and he's going to be fresh. You're going to have impactful players who are rejoining this team, and they're going to be fresh for the second half of the season. It all, you keep your fingers crossed. It all might be a blessing in disguise for this team, getting these guys back after they missed the first part of the year. It may really wind up working out in the Dolphins' favor. So yesterday, like that's the big story, right? Is you're starting to get healthier. Did the Dolphins, are they holding out, did the Dolphins hold out Xavier Howard last week because they're playing the Panthers? It's like, listen, we don't want to rush you, because Howard apparently wanted to play last week. We don't want to rush you back. We're going to be able to do without you against the Panthers. Now, it's an NFL team. Any given Sunday, right? I don't think that teams normally operate like that, but maybe there's part of them where it's like, listen, we're playing the long game here, and we're playing the Panthers this weekend. Xavier, take your time. Let's reevaluate next week. And then next week rolls around, and Jalen Ramsey's returning. And it's like, Xavier, listen, it's a Patriot team. Mac Jones, he fucking sucks. Ramsey's returning. Again, let's play the long game, man. Let's chill. Let's hold you out again. And then we're going to go to Germany to play the high-powered Chiefs, although they scored 9 points against the Broncos. Nonetheless, then we're going to go to Germany to play the Chiefs. You're going to be fresh. We're going to win those games without you, and it's all going to work out for everybody. Is that the way the Dolphins played it with Xavier Howard? Maybe. I could spin it that way. I just did. The point is, I think that everything's going to work out for this team with the injuries coming when they did. And it seems like the Dolphins are being smart about it. And with Ramsey back there, you're going to get Howard back. You're going to get Javon Holland back. Tell me that doesn't feel like what's going to be a really good secondary. Christian Wilkins has already tied a career high. He's got 4.5 sacks. He's doing his thing on the D-line. We all know he's playing for a contract. Whatever you got to do, man. But when they get those guys in the secondary, that only helps those guys up front. You get those coverage sacks. That's the thing about yesterday. Yes, the offense did its thing, but that's the thing about yesterday that I really liked. Not that, it was this super dominant effort against the Patriots, or that the Patriots, offense is some first prize. They fucking suck. We all know Mac Jones is probably the worst starting quarterback in the NFL. They held him to 17, great. But for me, it was about what I saw and what we could be seeing moving forward. Tua, he owns Belichick. 6-0 now against what something, not this guy, not me, but what something is the greatest coach of all time. Tua owns Bill Belichick. Nobody else has ever been 6-0 against Belichick. Tua is. And he owns Mac Jones. Mac Jones is a disgrace to those Alabama quarterbacks. Jalen Hurts, awesome. Tua, awesome. Mac Jones, such a bum. He's a disgrace to Alabama quarterbacks. Tua owns. Mac Jones is Tua's son. You saw after the game he was pushing him around in a stroller. That was Mac Jones in that stroller. Push him around. And Tua owns Bill Belichick. 6-0. Belichick, get the hell out of here. When this D gets back, though, when they get back Howard, they get back Holland, it feels like they're going to be really good. Now, we're going to get more into it with our NFL rundown. But the 49ers yesterday, the 49ers lost, and they were down 2 touchdowns really the whole game. And Brock Purdy was bad. And Brock Purdy's got 5 interceptions now in his last 3 games. After being like the wonderkind, the first few games in this season and going back to last season. Are we going to talk about the 49ers being frauds? The 49ers were 5-0. The 49ers have now dropped 3 in a row. One of them to a Bengals team that started the year terrible and was 500 going into yesterday. The 49ers, they also lost at the Cleveland Browns. That was their first loss of the year. They were under 500 at the time. Are we going to talk about the 49ers being frauds? Or is that only reserved, that kind of talk is only reserved for the Miami Dolphins? Are we going to talk about the 49ers being frauds or no? The Kansas City Chiefs yesterday. Are we going to talk about the Chiefs being frauds? The Chiefs scored 9 points yesterday against an awful Bronco team. And a Bronco team that the Dolphins scored 70 against. Are we going to talk about the Chiefs being a fraud? Or is that conversation only reserved for the Dolphins and only the Dolphins? Are we talking about teams being a fraud? Is that only when you lose to the good teams, but not when the bad teams? You're a fraud if you lose to good teams. Dolphins have lost on the road to the Bills. Dolphins have lost on the road to the Eagles. Are you a fraud if you lose to the good teams? Or are you a fraud if you lose to the bad teams, like at the Broncos? Or at home to a 500 Bengals team? Which is it? You're only a fraud, A, if you're the Dolphins, and B, if you lose to good teams, not if you lose to bad teams. Got it. I understand now. Oh, but ZASLOW, we know who the Chiefs are. The Dolphins have never done anything. The Dolphins haven't won a playoff game in over 20 years. We know who the Chiefs are. You know what? That's a fair point. What about the 49ers? How old were you the last time the 49ers won a Super Bowl? I'll tell you how old I was. I was 15. Look at this Punim. Look at his face. Does it look 15? 49ers haven't done anything in forever. Are the 49ers a fraud, or is it only reserved for when the Dolphins lose and when the Dolphins lose to good teams? Which is it? Everybody take it easy. Dolphins are 6-2. We're happy today. I shouldn't be spending all my energy. I shouldn't be getting all riled up about stupid 49ers, stupid Chiefs. But be fair. Be fair. Because the Dolphins, when they play the bad teams, they don't lose to them. They beat the shit out of them. The Dolphins, I told you, to me, that's a sign of a great team. You don't get tripped up by the lesser teams. You don't fall into the trap games. You don't fall for the look-ahead games. You beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and the Dolphins leave no doubt. They win those games by double figures. They're going to have another opportunity next weekend against a really good team, and it's in Germany. I think the Dolphins beat the Chiefs. We're not going to do a ton of that today. We'll start looking ahead beginning tomorrow. But I think the Dolphins beat the Chiefs. And this is important too because apparently Patrick Mahomes, it's probably not a coincidence, but Patrick Mahomes played with the flu yesterday. He was really sick. Well, the game was really cold there in Denver. That's not going to help. And they're getting on a plane today to Germany. That's not going to help either. So the Dolphins have another chance. They're 0-2 in the big opportunities. Big opportunity in Buffalo, lost. Big opportunity in Philadelphia, lost. They got another big opportunity this weekend in Germany against the Chiefs. I think the Dolphins are going to change the narrative this weekend. I think Dolphins are going to be ready for this game this weekend. I can't wait. Tell you what else I can't wait for. Every night when I'm tired, and I'm like, man, I hope I get a good night's sleep tonight. Then I remember, man, all I got to do is lie down in that bed here in the ZASLOW mansion, master bedroom, and remember, I sleep on sheets and Giggles. Of course I'm going to get amazing sleep. That's right. Sheets and Giggles, the softest, coolest, most breathable sheets out there, made from eucalyptus trees. If I told you that you can go to sheetsgiggles.com, you can get the softest, coolest, most breathable sheets out there. You're never going to have to search anywhere else for your comforter, your bed sheets, your blanket. I sleep on a eucalyptus pillow. If I told you you're getting the best sleep of your life with Sheets and Giggles, but if you go to sheetsgiggles.com and you use promo code ZASLOW and you get 20% off your first order, is that something you'd be interested in? Of course it is. My man Josh, he sent me a message the other day on Instagram like, Zaslow, I gotta get into Sheets and Giggles. What's the promo code again? I'm like, yeah, man, Zaslow. Use promo code Zaslow at sheetsgiggles.com, 20% off your first order. I told him, Josh, you're gonna get the best sleep of your life. Go on, get after it. You're gonna become one of over 100,000 Americans that are sleeping on Sheets and Giggles and never going back. Sheetsgiggles.com, use promo code Zaslow, 20% off your first order. Now tonight, there's a lot going on. We have Monday Night Football, we have Panthers, we have Heat. So how am I going to be enjoying the game tonight? You know how I'm going to be enjoying the game tonight. I got a Johnny Cuba in my hand. I'm going to be sitting on the couch in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. I'm sitting in my underwear with a Johnny Cuba. I got a shirt on, but in my underwear, Johnny Cuba in my hands. I'm enjoying the games. Now, Monday Night Football, Raiders and Lions. We got big money on the Lions here tonight. I'll be keeping track of it. But Heat, Panthers, that's big TV and small TV action. But Johnny Cuba, they're part of the action as well. If you haven't tried Johnny Cuba, I don't know what you're waiting for, because we're talking the most delicious beer there is. Pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba, your local Sedano's, Presidente, Winn-Dixie, Fresco y Mas. And then I love when you take a picture, taking that first sip of Johnny Cuba. Oh my God, it feels so good when it touches your lips. You hit me up on Instagram. I'm an influencer. Then I put it on my stories. My man Juan, he's super excited about it. Myra's super excited about it. You're excited because I'm famous. And now you're becoming famous too because I put you in my stories. Go pick up a 6-pack of Johnny Cuba. Enjoy the action tonight. Remember, always drink responsibly. And don't forget Johnny Cuba's mantra, stay tranquilo. So, Panthers tonight in Boston. That's at 7:30, right? 7:30? Yeah. No, 7 or 7:30. Hold on. I want to make sure I'm accurate here. I don't like giving out the false information. The Heat are at 8 p.m. tonight. The Panthers are at 7 p.m. tonight. Okay, that's important because that means the Panthers are going to get big TV status in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. Heat are going to get small TV status, but the way that the timing works out, we're going to be able to flip it back and forth based on when the Panthers are in intermission. Then we move the Heat to the big T. But the Panther game will be ending around 9:40-ish. And then we'll be able to move the Heat permanently to big TV in the ZASLOW Mansion family room. And the Heat game, 8 o'clock start. They'll be early in the third quarter at that point. And then they'll get the full attention on the big TV. And the Panthers will have given the Bruins their first regulation loss of the season. So the Panthers are back home tonight. That's right, Panthers back home. Panthers, that's their home, TD Garden. The Panthers are back home tonight in Boston to take on the Bruins. The spot of the Game 7 victory, one of the best nights in your life, Carter Verhaeghe with the winner in overtime, and the Panthers stun the team that had the best regular season in NHL history, sent all those Boston fans home unhappy, ended the Bruins season, and the Panthers really began their march to the Stanley Cup Final and the Eastern Conference Championship. Yeah, the Panthers are back home tonight. Matthew Tkachuk, Carter Verhaeghe, Alexander Barkov, Sergei Bobrovsky. That's their home. Boston, TD Garden. Go to your home. And the Panthers looking to make it 5 out of 6 tonight. 5 out of 6 overall to start this early part of the season at the Bruins. I'm very excited about the Panthers this evening. Now, as far as the Heat tonight, the Heat are at 8 o'clock. We got to talk. The Heat are at Milwaukee. First, though, let's talk about what took place at the Heat over the weekend. Panthers won over the weekend. They beat Seattle on Friday night? Saturday night. Panthers beat Seattle on Saturday night, 3-2. Really fun game. Matthew Tkachuk finally got his first goal of the year. The Heat are in Milwaukee tonight, but first we got to talk about the Heat over the weekend. So the Heat lose in Boston on Friday night. Close game. Folded down the stretch in the fourth quarter. Offense just wasn't there. They're always going to play well against the Celtics. Not afraid of them at all. We'll see you in the playoffs, and we'll beat you there like we always do. Not afraid of Boston. But then Saturday night's the real story, right? Saturday night, the Heat are at Minnesota. They lose at Minnesota. And in all 3 games this year, so the Heat are 1-2. In all 3 games this year, the fourth quarter has been really bad for Miami. They had a 19-point lead early in the fourth quarter against Detroit. They hung on and won by a point. The Heat had a terrible fourth quarter against Detroit. They managed to hang on. Terrible fourth quarter against Boston. They lose for the first time. Terrible fourth quarter Saturday night in Minnesota. What was a close game. It's like a 2-point game early in the fourth quarter. They wind up losing by 16. All 3 games so far, the fourth quarter has been 2 of the games, it was the end for Miami, and the other one, it was almost the end for Miami. So that's a big issue. Now, Jimmy didn't play Saturday night. We'll get to that in a second. Jimmy has not played well. He didn't play well against Detroit. Didn't play well at Boston. Maybe Jimmy not playing in the preseason. Are you worried about Jimmy? No, not at all. But maybe not playing in the preseason, he's taking a little bit of time to get acclimated, to get, shake the rust off and get going. Maybe not playing in the preseason. I know he had a dental procedure. I mean, it's awfully coincidental that he's all better from the dental procedure, ready for game 1. Maybe not playing in the preseason was a mistake because Jimmy's off to a really slow start. Bam looks fantastic. Jaime Jaquez Jr. looks ready to play. He's a player. Tyler Hero looks good too. I mean, the first game against Detroit was like 7 for 24. The first quarter against Boston, he was awesome. Helped get them going. And he was good against Minnesota as well. I mean, the field goal percentage is not exactly there. That's going to happen, but he's a major threat. He gets to his spot. He can get off whatever shots he wants. And he looks so much more active defensively. Tyler looks good. Bam looks fantastic. And Jaime Jaquez clearly looks like a player. Outside of that, there isn't a whole lot to feel good about. Martin's hurt. Richardson's hurt. Highsmith is hurt. They were forced to start Jovic on Saturday night, who I don't think looks ready. That's disappointing to me. This team is not playing good basketball right now. And now they're in Milwaukee tonight, where we're going to see Damian Lillard on the other side. And if the Heat get their ass kicked and they drop to 1-3 and they're not playing good basketball overall, and then you see what, not what could have been, because the Heat does have the Heat's control, but maybe you see what should have been with Milwaukee or in Milwaukee, tonight has a lot of potential to be really frustrating for the Heat fan. So we're hoping that's not what we're going to wind up seeing. Jimmy Butler is expected to play tonight. I'm not sure the rest of the injury report here, like Caleb Martin, I know they're being super cautious with. But I'm wondering going into this game, does Tyler Hero's come out to start this season motivated? He's got a chip on his shoulder. He wants to prove to everybody, I'm a big-time player. Like he said, I want to get to a place where next offseason, I'm not in the trade rumors, where they refuse to even talk about me. It's a great attitude to have. And he also, when he was asked about Damian Lillard going into the game tonight, he's like, I've never talked to him before. He's a great player, just, whatever. And so Tyler's got the right attitude. But I do wonder if there's a little bit of extra motivation from Tyler tonight, where Damian Lillard didn't do anything wrong. But here's also the thing. Tyler wants, and by the way, Lillard last night, he had 6 points. He was 2 for 12. Really poor second game. So they're 1-1 now, the Bucks, coming off a loss last night. And Lillard was not good last night. But even though there shouldn't be any animosity from Tyler toward Damian Lillard, Tyler may look at it where, Lillard tried to force his way to the Heat. And while it's not like Lillard said, I want to play for the Heat and make sure you trade me for Tyler Hero because I don't want to play with him. Damian Lillard, at least his agent, they know that the Heat are not going to try and trade Butler for Lillard. They're not going to try and trade Adebayo for Lillard, but they probably will try and trade Hero for Lillard because you got to give up something to get something, and you look at the salary. So Hero would be in that trade. So when Damian Lillard requests the trade to Miami and only Miami, Hero may go into this game with a little bit of extra motivation, not just, hey, I want to show you we don't need Damian Lillard. I can be that guy. But at the same time where it's, you didn't try to get me traded, Damian Lillard, but you kind of tried to get me traded. So Tyler, I'm expecting him to come out firing tonight, chip on the shoulder, major effort from Tyler Hero tonight.